Today, we are going to try to destroy 2 Trijicon VCOG scopes. Now, you guys have been watching our content for probably quite a while, and you've seen us shooting a variety of optics, whether it's red dots, LPVOs, ACOGs. Now, as we're getting into more longer range precision type shooting, much more larger magnified optics. But what we have not done a whole lot of is torture testing or durability testing with these types of optics. For the most part, optics like ACOGs and red dots are super durable. Most people just assume they can take all kinds of rigorous activity and blunt trauma. But when they start getting into LPVOs, 1-6s, 1-4s, 1-10s, things like that, a lot of people assume, and I would say correctly so, that these optics are going to be a little bit more fragile than the ACOG counterparts or red dots and magnifiers. But today, we're actually going to find out. And this is something that we're going to be doing more of in the future, taking other 1-6s, 1-4s, and other magnified optics, and putting them through a very basic evaluation, sort of torture test, to see if they can handle somewhat regular abuse and some decent abuse and still hold zero, still track with the turrets properly, and not have the reticle explode and split apart and have lots of issues. Now, what you'll see right here, I have a 416 IAR. So this is the new rifle that's being issued to the Marine Corps. And one of the optics that they are issued as an option is the Trijicon VCOG 1-8. So this is a super robust and durable LPVO. You could shoot it on 1X up close, nice and fast, possibly on full auto, if you're into that sort of thing. But you can also dial all the way up to 8X and have an MRAD reticle and then do holds and all that good stuff. So this is an optic that is now being fielded en masse, and one of the reasons it got selected by the Marine Corps, I would assume, is the durability that Trijicon boasts on the VCOG series of optics. But today, we're going to find out if some of their claims are proved true and see what our experiences are with them. So let's talk about the 2 optics. Starting off, we have the 1-6. This one has been around for quite a while. It's just a very simple optic. It's also about 10 or 11 ounces lighter than the 1-8, which came out a little bit more recently. It takes a single AA here in the bottom that's centered up with the optic, which looks really nice. And this also has a MRAD reticle. It's very simple. The one thing about this optic, though, that I will note, there is no way to dial for speed drop. There's no way to dial onto targets. Once you've zeroed this, because there are no markings, you're going to throw the top turret, top cap back on, and you're good to go. So you're going to be holding on every target. That's fine. That's probably, that was kind of the objective for this optic, I'm sure. It's also illuminated, which is solid, and the 1-6 can take an RMR here in the center if you want to run some sort of piggybacked optic setup. It's also a little bit cheaper. So Brandon, I think, is going to use the 1-6. And then over here is the Marine Corps issued, drop that down there so it doesn't blow away, 1-8. So it comes in this nice coyote padded case. And this guy comes with, I didn't mention on the other one comes on a standard ACOG mount with 2 thumb screws. That is one of the advantages and cool things about the Trijicon VCOG series is this is an optic you don't have to level. It doesn't take other mounts or normal traditional ring mounts. It comes with standard ACOG pattern mounts. There's lots of options out there. This is the LaRue, so it has 2 quick detach levers. So this should return to zero a little bit better than the standard 2 thumb screw version, but you don't have to level it. So for those of you that don't want to mess with all that crap, this is a very cool optic in that regard, similar to like an LCAN, something out there where you can just drop it on the gun. You don't have to worry about all this leveling nonsense like a nerd. You can just start shooting. So this also comes with flip caps. I'm going to be removing those because I want a little more field of view probably. And this has also an MRAD reticle, but this one actually has a Christmas tree. So I have some little windmills off to the side so that, and today we have some pretty decent wind when we start shooting a little bit further. He can actually call me some mills. I can actually adjust my impact based on what I'm seeing and be a little bit more precise. This is also a bit more expensive than the 1-6, and it's also heavier, and there's no top dot option, but I'm sure someone out there could make a ring mount right here aftermarket at any time. Now, as far as our test goes, there's a couple things we've set up to try to keep this repeatable and consistent so that we can replicate this test, or you all can, but replicate this test with other optics in the future. Possibly some cheap optics, possibly some other high-end optics, we shall see. But one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to maintain consistency of the rifle that we use. So this is a BCM 16-inch gun, completely stripped of all accessories with an M-LOK rail. We have a pick slot in the back for a bipod. And this is going to keep the weight consistent as we test other optics. We're going to add the VCOG to the top, and then this rifle will be subjected to all of the testing along with the optic itself. As you will see, there's quite a bit of wind. All right, so we've got our super official, not really, test document. What we're going to begin with is a simple tip test onto gravel like you would have on your range. We're going to be orienting the scope in 3 different positions. Each rifle is going to get dunked on the ground 3 times. And so this will be, the first of many, but it's pretty simple. So we're going to tip with the optic facing out, beginning with my 1-8. We're good. Caps will be up as if I were shooting and using it. And then I'm just going to send it that way. It's optic facing out. Now we do optic facing right. Then optic facing left. All right, you're up, Brandon.
All right.
Left side. All right, notice anything about the gun?
I mean, I got a rock wedged in the 3-prong.
I was thinking specifically about the optic, but
Our gravel definitely nicks up optics pretty good. It always looks a lot worse than it really is. Most of it generally wipes right off.
all right, tip test is complete. Now we're going to go engage man size steel at distance. If we cannot do so, then we will check 0, but I think we will still be able to shoot them just fine.
Has a hit. Right. Just right. Just right. Low. Barely hit it. You hit it.
All right, we're still good. The wind is being funky.
Should be 2.5.
What are you shooting?
I hit them all 3 times. It's good. I hit them all 3 times.
Okay. All right, never mind. Okay.
I missed that road guy once.
All right, so our tip test seemed to be okay. We were both able to engage steel, hostage plate. We have a reduced C-zone at like 250 meters. Then we have a humanoid at 400. We're able to do that just fine, so the guns seem to still be zeroed. But now we're going to kick things up a notch. We have this nice concrete culvert pad thing for water drainage. We're going to drop the rifles from waist height, which I have really long legs, so I might be a little bit higher, directly onto the concrete. Replicating the same thing we did over there. 1 hit directly on the optic above, and then 1 on each side. And then we will do the same thing. We will engage at distance and see if anything has changed, and then confirm 0 at 100 meters. Bolt is forward, stock is retracted. My lens covers are up, just like, you know, as if I were shooting. I'm gonna hold the rifle parallel. We're actually going straight down. Waist. I'm gonna hold it out so it doesn't hit me. Gentlemen, are you ready?
Yep.
We will now do this side. All right, all 3 drops complete. Gun is still good, from what I can tell. A little marring. Lens cap covers are still there. That's nice. Mount's good. All right, Brandon, you're up.
Yonkers, dude.
Dude, yeah.
All right. Ready?
Yeah.
Oh my god. I'm really good at this.
Surely it's not broken yet.
That's fine.
All right, anything of note?
Nope, just some marring.
Same as mine. Look through the reticle. Is it still good?
Yeah, definitely good. Still good.
Diopter's good.
Yeah, everything's good. Everything moves. Everything functions.
I didn't check that on mine, but it should be all right. Okay, man-sized steel
We should
again.
actually check that, make sure illumination still turns on, too. Yeah, it's still there. It's good.
Okay, I'm definitely not zeroed anymore. All right, so it looks like my optic has come unzeroed. I am now like 2 mils high. So that's kind of unfortunate. We're gonna shoot this on paper and find out just how much at 100. But literally on the 400, I was just holding top of the steel and hitting when it should be a 2.5 mil hold to engage target at that distance. So it's about 2 mils high. So possibly one of these impacts, we'll see. Maybe we can fix it. And we'll see if Brandon's 1-6 is all right.
Okay, so that's holding a mill to the right.
I mean, there's wind. What was your elevate? What are you holding for elevation?
Nothing.
Yeah, so that's wrong. So
Yeah.
your gun's high as well.
I'm at least a mil. I wasn't holding for wind.
You're like 2 mils high like I am.
All right, so it seems that I lost zeroed as well with the VCOG 1 to 6. So after the first test, I shot 10 rounds, hit 9 of the 10. This time I'm holding a whole mil to the right at 400, and I'm only holding a mil high. So I've lost at least a mil and a half on elevation, or there's been about that much of a change. And then with windage, it looks like we're about at least a mil off to the right, but we're about to verify that on paper.
All right. I'm what?
You're off paper almost.
Am I on? Oh, I see that. Yeah, I'm high.
All right, so as you guys see, there's definitely a shift. So I'm aiming about right here on the target. So because just due to the reticle shape, I have a crosshair reticle that's really fat. So I'm basically putting the top of the reticle to line up with this line. It's just the best way for me to get a precise aiming point. And so aiming here, and we have the shift here. So according to the loophole spotter that we have, this was 1 mil left and 1 mil up, the average of the group. So we do have an obvious shift of our point of impact, or our point of aim. So we lost zero basically.
So me aiming here, same thing, trying to have a somewhat refined aiming point. I normally like shooting into corners, which on the 1 to 8 I can see, but for consistency and I didn't know where it would go, I just decided to hold center. On the 400 meter, we assessed that I was probably 2 mils high, because on the 400 meter target, I was only holding like at the top of the gong when it needs to be 2.5. So my optic did shift high, 2 mils, which this is about right at this distance, because it's 3.4 inches for 1 mil, and this is getting up there to like 5 inches away. I'm a little off to the right, but I actually don't think that's too much of a zero issue, because I didn't have windage issues at distance. Even on the 400, I was just holding center and sending it. There's some wind though, so there's that. So the optics did not stay super zeroed, but they're also not like insanely off. So now we are going to fix them and then continue. Another thing I forgot to mention is my illumination is now dead. So I popped the battery out when we were at the 100 meter line, put in a new one. These are fresh batteries, still not on. I'm hoping that in our next drop test, something happens and turns the illumination back on, but that is dead. So right now on the 1 to 8, so that kind of sucks. All right, so for the next test, again, trying to simulate somewhat realistic occurrences that can happen. We will be driving down our dirt road. I'm going to try to do 25 miles an hour. We're going to test that and see if that's right. But whatever speed we pick is what we will drop at. Brandon's going to sit here in the back with the rifles, and he's just going to chuck them out. We'll do one at a time. We'll keep it scientific, but when I get to 25, I'll tell him now. He'll release, it'll tumble down the dirt road, and that's to simulate someone forgetting their rifle on the roof of their car, in the back of the truck bed. This does happen, it has happened, and we'll see how the guns handle it, or specifically the optics. All right, just a few more seconds. Wait, you drop it?
Yeah, by accident.
Yeah, by accident.
Let me go turn around. Are you serious? I said don't. I said don't drop it by accident. All right, well, we didn't mean to drop it right here, but this is the new drop zone, so that's okay. So there, here, we have some grass and some gravel. Everything looks fine. Still won't turn on. Dang it! I was hoping it would make it turn on. Cover came off, but that's to be expected. And drop. Oh gosh.
Everything looks good, so I got some witness marks just with Sharpie on the mount. Nothing seems to have moved. We just look like some good old nicks. Looks like the scope took impact right here. This guy got loose, but overall, still looks good. Oh, oh man, there's a stick here. I thought the glass was broken. It's just a stick. But that's good. And then illumination still functions. So we just gotta verify it's still zeroed.
All right, that completes the vehicle movement driving drop test. I maintained a speed of 25 miles an hour. We dropped with the optic facing straight down. There's some variance in the terrain, but that's not something we can necessarily replicate fully every time perfectly. We had a drop zone that we dropped within, so we can do that on the next test, on the next optic, and keep it the same, 25 miles an hour, facing straight down in that area of dirt road / grass, and it'll be consistent enough. So that'll be good. 7, yeah, we're getting up into the 10s. 10, yeah. Okay, a lot. Just put it that way. I'll say our tourniquet pouch is an awesome little Kestrel pouch. Where were those at?
You're hitting it.
Oh, really? Okay, I'm good. Gun's still zeroed after that, which is cool.
Seems to be good.
You good?
Yeah.
For our final drop test or torture test, we're going to be dropping these rifles off of a Connex. So we're simulating the rifle. It's a little higher, but falling off of like a very tall vehicle, because that also has happened. And we're going to drop the first one optic down as best as possible into our drop zone. And then I will do on each side as well. It is being dropped into gravel, which is pretty soft, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue. But let's go, starting with the 1 to 8. You'll now do right side. Now left side. All right, that gun's done. Stand by. Perfect. Stand by. Last one. Perfect.
So looking over the 1 to 6, the mount itself did not loosen up. We just got a lot of those little marrings from this gravel. Like I mentioned, our gravel makes things look pretty bad when it scratches it, but looks like just all cosmetic stuff. Make sure the illumination still works. It does. And there appears to be nothing wrong with the glass. So that one's good. Looking over this guy, the mount is still locked in place. Looks good. We lost the retainer for the scope cap, not a big deal. The rest of it just looks pretty cosmetic. Illumination's still no worky. And the glass looks fine, just got some dirt in there. Looks good.
All right, so we had a little bit of fun with full auto, mainly for the video. Okay, 4 mags on full auto is probably not going to do anything crazy to the optic. We would need to shoot quite a lot more. But we thought it'd be fun, and maybe it will change things. We're now going to confirm on steel at distance, kind of see what's going on, see if we can still make decent hits. We do have some, again, pretty good wind. It's fluctuating between 11 o'clock and 1 to 2 o'clock. So it's not full value, but there is definitely some. Then we'll confirm at 100, make sure the 0 hasn't changed, and see where we're at. So that's 3 gong hits on a 2 MOA gong at 300. So it's still zeroed. Oh, it's 1 miss. All right, humanoid 400. All right, Brandon, you're up. I'm good. I think my gun's still zeroed. Just sick. Headshot. Just over right shoulder. Hit. Just over right shoulder. Impact. Impact.
All right, that's easy. Okay.
Impact. Impact. Just to the left. Impact. Impact.
It's good.
Yeah, these are still zeroed. We will shoot groups at 100, but pitching those off the Connex and out the car and full auto. Wonder why mine wasn't zeroed after the first thing. Huh. Maybe it needed to break in. It needed to settle in. We'll never know. Okay, well now let's group them on paper. All right, so that's my 10-shot group. We're shooting PMC 62 grain green tip, which is not the most accurate ammo out of these guns, but it's not bad. So I'm gonna say I'm still zeroed because shooting distance in the 2 MOA gong, like I was getting very good hits, and this is pretty solid. These could be me, but I have the majority right where I'm aiming, so I'm just gonna say, you know what? It's still zeroed, which is cool after everything we just did.
All right, so I got a really good 10-round group going on there. I got one round that's kind of out there, but I did see a little bit of a shift to the right here. So coming over to this guy, this was the 10-round group we fired, that I fired before we did those last 2 tests. And not as tight of a group, but it's definitely more centered. So I had the exact same point of aim with both of these guys, and I resulted just a little bit to the right. So don't know if that was from the drops or from the full auto, most likely from the drops, but I was still able to engage targets out to 400 meters. I was holding just a little bit to the left, so not the end of the world. If my zero shifted this much in real life, the optic is obviously still usable out to a significant distance.
All right, I'm gonna come down to like 4. Yeah, I'm holding neck. All right, 1X. Yeah. Still zeroed on 1. All right, so what we're checking right now is making sure our zero is decent or good going on 8X, 4X, and 1X. Because what's going to happen to a lot of scopes, especially with trauma, is you may zero on 6 and it holds it on 6, but then you dial back to 1 and it's completely off because there's just crap going on in the scope. It's not aligning properly. I've had this happen with scopes. It's probably the worst failure you can have with a LPVO because you can't see it discernibly until you shoot paper or shoot on targets and see you're completely off. So I just shot, we have a target at 150 meters, so we're holding like neck. On 8 it was good, on 4 it was good, on 1 it was good. So now Brandon's gonna do it with his 1 to 6. He'll do 6, 3, and 1, and if we make hits, then we're good. Ready? Good. Hit. Now off to the left a little bit, I think. Impact. All right. Go to 3X. Just do like 2 shots and then spin the rest on 1. Impact. Impact.
Oh, brother.
Yeah, it's kind of tough to see. Impact.
That was me.
Let the wind. Hold on. Wait. Impact. Impact. That was on the hostage plate. Okay, we're good. Still holding 0 on 1, 3, and 6. All right, so that concludes our single day torturous evaluation of the VCOG 1 to 8 and 1 to 6. Now, there's a couple things I did not say at the beginning, but everyone should just understand it. This is a single sample size for each optic, so there's a lot that we don't know that didn't happen or could have happened if we had had 5 1 to 8s and 5 1 to 6s. So take that for what it is. This is a very simple test that we did. Now, the nice thing is the way we set this up is it is repeatable. We can do this again on that same concrete slab, on the same gravel, on the same targets. Like we can literally come out here next week, run another one of our optics we have in the armory, and we have a lot, and see how it does compared to something like this. And we're trying to do more of that with our evaluations. We are working on evaluation standards for our rifle and pistol shooting product evaluations. So that's geared to that equipment and just shooting it, not torture stuff necessarily. This is a little different because we actually were trying to beat these up and see what would happen. Overall, I don't know if I should be impressed yet because we haven't tested a bunch of other optics, but I believe most other LPVOs are not going to survive what we just did today. Chucking them off of Connex boxes, chucking them off while driving 25 miles an hour. The drops on the concrete were definitely the worst. I don't think very many optics are going to be able to handle it as well as these, but we will see. But this holding 0 after we chucked it off the roof and chucked it out of a moving vehicle, I'm very happy with. I was able to make some very good hits on some very small targets, and the reticle inside of this is pretty good. The main flaw right now is that the illumination's dead. And I've changed batteries, I've messed with the battery compartment, it is dead. I will send it back to Trijicon to get it fixed, and that kind of sucked. So, Brandon, 1 to 6.
Yeah, so this optic is it's a good optic when it comes down to just 1-6s on the market in general. There's not a good amount of options out there. So the VCOG being that 1-6 that is extremely durable, as you guys saw what we did with it. It has very good glass. Trijicon's known for its notorious good glass quality. There's no exception here. It does really well. The reticle leaves a little bit to be desired. I will say is just the center portion of it is kind of thick, so not my personal preference, but for a 1-6, as in this is not a precision optic, I know the 1-8 is not much of a difference, but that 2x extra magnification does make a significant difference when stepping into more of a precision type role. Obviously these are not precision optics, but all I have to say is that center reticle is suffice for a 1-6. Not my personal preference, like I said, but it still works. Now, when these optics did lose zero, it wasn't by much. We were still able to engage targets out to past 400 meters, and I think that's very suffice. So if there's optics out there that do better than this, they're really, really good, because these did a really good job through these tests, because again, we could still engage targets at 400 meters, even if it was just 1 or 2 mils off.
One thing about these scopes in particular is these are great beginner scopes. Granted, they're expensive because you don't have to worry about leveling. You don't have to worry about dials. Now, for me, this is a con, and to many of you who do like to use a scope you could dial with, the 1-8 and the 1-6 do not have markings anywhere on the elevation and windage turrets. So this means you can't dial onto targets. I mean, you could technically count and do it that way, but that sucks, because now you have to remember, I'm on 1.8, I need to come down 1.8, and you're just not gonna do that. But for a beginner who just wants to zero this and then immediately just cap this, you know, not worry about hex keying, you know, a turret and re-zeroing it, it is very fast and efficient as far as just zeroing it and then holding on everything and just blasting. So that is cool for newer people to LPVOs. For me, I would prefer being able to dial, because I like to do that. Even on my 1-8 attacker, I dial. But overall, it is a very intriguing optic. I think it's one of the most underrated optics out there. People don't really talk about the VCOG. They don't really talk about, you know, you don't see them on a whole lot of guns out there. But if you want an LPVO, but you're concerned about the durability of a lot of the LPVOs out there because they're scopes and you put them into rings, and then they have a mount that can fail potentially because of various tolerancing that's happening, I do think this is a very good option, a very strong option if you want a scope that you can literally do this with, that you're probably not going to go do with another scope that you have. And I'm perfectly confident taking this gun now and shooting a target 400 or 500 meters away. So today, I got a lot of confidence in this scope, which is cool. But when we do the next evaluation, you'll be able to compare how those scopes did to these and actually have something to discern between. So I'm looking forward to our next evaluation off of the same standard. We may add some at the bottom, but we'll do the same ones we just did, and they'll be fun.
Yeah, I will say one of the things that turns people away from these optics is the weight, because they are heavier optics on paper. But if you do any other LPVO like a Night Force Attacker and add the weight of a mount with it, they're going to be about the same. These are going to be a little bit heavier, but it's not going to be discernible. It's going to be only a couple ounces. And lastly, if your optic does take a spill, if you knock it over or you drop it on concrete, check zero. Don't expect any optic to hold zero perfectly, or you shouldn't trust it to. That's just unreasonable. These are all significantly pretty intense tests for an optic. So again, even if you do have a VCOG or an ACOG or a T2, something that is known for durability, if it takes a spill, make sure you check zero. Don't trust that it's going to hold zero.
We'll see you guys next time.